and then they kind of work from there. I'm not sure about the other story. But.
He talked about that it was a mixture of two stories they'd put together. One of them being about the robot. One of them being about the monolith being on the moon. And once we reached the moon, the monolith sent a signal out to the aliens saying, we were here, we're coming to take over the universe. So they put those two stories together to make this. And the monolith sort of comes first full circle at the beginning, and then as well at the end, it has its place. But the ending is ambiguous. I think you take what you want from it. It can mean a lot, or it can mean the most simple of things. But let's talk about the way it looks. Just
one of the best Blu-rays I've seen, really. As a pretty big fan of the movie. I don't know if I'd call it my favorite film, but it's definitely in the top 10 for me. And it was the first DVD I got. Remember my dad, I got a PS2, and then we went on a trip, and he's like, "Oh, I got you 2001." I was like, "Hell yes, go check this out." And it looked awesome on DVD at the time, so when it came out on Blu-ray, definitely had to check it out, and just really blown away. I've seen the film, a handful of times on TV and whatnot, and just little details I've never seen before, just kind of text and
the ships really
words.
come to life. The outside shots of them.
More stuff on the ship. It's not really kind of fuzzy on the details.
The model details of the ships it's awesome. I mean,
they hold up too. That's the thing.
Yeah, well, that's the great thing about the Blu-rays. They were made for 35 millimeters, so they're gonna look good on 35 millimeters.
This was shot on.
So, this was 70, wasn't
70,
it?
yeah.
So yeah, it's gonna look incredible. It's got to stand up to that resolution. So of course it's gonna look great here. I'm glad that Warner did do a good transfer. I've heard some iffy things about some of Kubrick's other films, but this one was the one they couldn't afford to blow it on this one, because it's all about the image almost. It's all about how it looks. The sound was great too. It sounded great.
It sounded great. I didn't really notice any, it sounds good, any kind of enhancing really with the sound. A lot of sparse parts in the film where the sound design's kind of interesting, where he uses breathing to kind of set the rhythm of the scene, especially when he's pulling the memory out of the computer. How really interesting. But as far as the look goes, I mean, it's just, I only have a couple other films that I could say look better, maybe.
Right. I mean, yeah, it's at the top of it, just at the top of the top. It's a demo-worthy disc. You'd pop this thing in to show people your system, show them your TV, sound as well. I mean, if I remember correctly, the soundtrack for this film did really well, because it's so powerful. It's so it creates a mood, and now that mood is sort of synonymous with space.
Yeah, I mean, the classical music, like the Blue Danube Waltz, used a couple of Ligeti songs that are used throughout. I read that he was using them to kind of, in the editing room, is to kind of set the rhythm of the film, and then he ended up just, let's use it. And so it made the soundtrack, and it was just kind of, just took the world over. People really, classical music has been around, but all of a sudden in the 60s, it's just more popular.
Wasn't in movies.
Definitely more popular, yeah. And that's one thing I've always enjoyed about Kubrick's films, the use of classical music, because I'm a big fan of classical music. My dad sings in the symphony and all that, so I've been exposed to a lot of it, and it's kind of fun,
Yeah, I think
it's playful in a way with the spaceships.
I mean, it's a space movie that's using older music, but it worked so well.
Especially in the beginning with the ship just kind of.
But this is a 2001 fan is going to love the special features of this.
Oh yeah,
ton of them. The ones I watched, I think almost all of them. There's a documentary on the film itself, going into the making. No Kubrick interviews on there really that I could see. but there was a lot of Arthur C. Clarke interviews, and he talks in detail. That's really interesting. They talked to the guys who did the slit scan photography.
That was what I liked a lot.
That was interesting.
Trumbull and somebody else. I can't think.
The other documentary is awesome. It's like all the directors who have been influenced by the film. A lot of big directors. You got George Lucas. You got Spielberg's on there.
Scorsese has I think something to say. Woody Allen has a.
Yeah.
One thing I've noticed though, is that they're recycling a lot of the same kind of interviews throughout these different little documentaries. So.
Yeah, true. They'll pull from the same stuff.
There's like the one thing with Woody Allen that I've seen on just other documentaries where he's like, I remember seeing the spaceship and just never seen anything like that before.
And they take a lot of the, back in the day, Look magazine did a film piece on the making of the film. They reuse a lot of that. So you can look at the whole piece, or you can see that. It's got trailers. It has a documentary on how accurate it was as far as the physics and I think the actual space stuff that's going on. They talk about that. Pretty
accurate. The only scene that's really inaccurate, well, because Arthur C. Clarke was, he's a well-respected scientist. He invented the satellite and all of that. He said the only thing that he kind of just passed over was the scene where Bowman is ejecting himself back into the spaceship, and he holds his breath, and that's not what an astronaut would want to do in that situation. You'd want to exhale all the air out of your body and then throw yourself into whatever the vacuum that you're trying to get into. Everything else is apparently pretty accurate. So
if you're in a spaceship and you need to jettison into the airlock, do not hold your breath.
One of the big inaccuracies is Pan Am not being around.
Yeah, you're right.
They're on the spaceship.
The Pan Am spaceship.
But it's called 2001, and
that's come and go on.
Obviously, we're in 2009, so it was a bit generous with where things were headed at the time. I guess they didn't predict the Vietnam War escalating and ruining the economy, space travel.
There is a audio interview with Stanley Kubrick that's an hour and a half long. Yeah, it's very long.
It's really interesting.
Him talking about everything, his life. He's not just talking about this movie. He's talking about growing up and his interest in photography and stuff like that.
Playing chess in the park.
Exactly.
And trying to struggle as a filmmaker, and it really he's being interviewed by a physicist, which was kind of weird, I guess. But
it's cool. For the 2001 fans, you're gonna like it. For film fans, you're gonna like it. If you like older movies or classic films or films that have set the bar for other films, I mean, you got to see this one if you haven't already seen it. I didn't see it as young as Patrick. I saw it out of high school. I saw it a lot later, and it's not one I'm going to pick up and watch 20, 30 times. You really have to get the mindset and say, maybe once a year or once every 5 years for some people. But I think when you sit down and you haven't watched it in a while, it'll impact you a lot more.
It doesn't lose anything. To me.
It doesn't.
You're just like.
I don't think you should have a bunch of friends over and just sit here and watch it. Because
unless you're all really into it.
Right. And but like my girlfriend didn't want to watch it when I reviewed the Blu Ray because we just watched it on DVD a while back, and it's just not something you want to watch so close together because it is a little slow in some parts, but it's beautiful to look at. So if you don't like old movies, you're probably not going to like this, but you should still watch it because it's that important. And I think it's a great choice. Amazon has a couple of the Kubrick DVDs really cheap right now.
Yeah.
This is July 2009, and they're like $11, $14.
13, I just can't believe it.
That's just no argument. You ought to go on there and get them, and if not, Netflix them. Take a look at this, enjoy it. I know it's the third episode, and all we do is rave about these great-looking Blu-rays. We've yet to run into a bad one, but I'm sure one will be popping in.
Yeah, I got Roadhouse coming in the mail.
Yeah, well, I can only hope for an excellent transfer of Roadhouse, the best, worst movie ever. But we appreciate everybody checking us out. Make sure to subscribe to the Blue Inferno and support everybody.
Send some comments.
Yeah, leave a comment. If
Love
you
and
hate 2001, let us know. We don't care, but let us know anyway.
Yeah.
But till next time, I'm Daniel Carter.
And I'm Patrick Alsabrook.
We'll see you later.